The Archdiocese of Chicago is a vibrant and diverse faith community. We celebrate our faith through worship, evangelization, and reaching out to the needy. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Good morning, and welcome to Mission Matters Live, a program focused on promoting a spirit of mission among the people of God in the Archdiocese of Chicago. My name is Megan Mio, and I'm the director of the Global Mission Office. We are listening to WNDZ 750 AM, and Mission Matters Live airs on the second Wednesday of the month at 8 a.m. Central. This month, we are here with Sister Anila Christy. She is the former Provincial of the Daughters of Mary, St. Joseph Province, which is located in the Syro-Malankara Diocese of Marthandam in the state of Tamil Nadu, India. Today, she is the director of the Marian Spirituality Center and teaches canon law at St. Mary's Malankara Major Seminary Trivandrum. And she continues to work with her sisters living in the U.S. to help coordinate mission appeals. Her congregation, the Daughters of Mary, were founded in India and today have grown to over 1,000 sisters. Here in the Archdiocese of Chicago, we've been blessed to have a history of the Daughters of Mary visiting for mission appeals. And I'll be asking Sister Anila about all of these things and more so we can reflect upon the Church's mission among women around the world. So, good morning, Sister Anila. Thank you for joining us and welcome.
Good morning, Megan Mio. Thank you so much for welcoming me. Thank you.
Yes, we're very glad to have you. Now, I just want to comment, too, that Sister Anila has made her way to Chicago before. A few times now we've met in person. The timing just wasn't quite right, so you're in another part of the U.S., but we're glad to have you by Zoom and to learn a little bit more about your work and the work of your sisters, the Daughters of Mary. So, and we'll talk in a moment about where you're coming from. So why don't we just get started by getting to know you, Sister Anila. So tell us about how you discerned to become a religious sister. Tell us about where you're from and what brought you to this ministry.
Yeah, when I was doing my studies, when I was in my 11th grade, I used to attend a prayer meeting with the help of my friends. So as I was there, I actually encountered Christ in my life, where I actually found a love for my life, actually. So I wanted to commit myself completely to this love and also to spread this love to all, because at that moment I felt many are being in a very critical situation where they are not happy in their life, as I was. So I just wanted to let them know that Jesus is the only love which we could completely depend on and could commit ourselves to. So I wanted to commit myself, and so that's how everything happened. I had to wait for 5 to 7 years for that, to explain that to my parents and to get their permission.
Right.
But anyway, God was good to make it happen.
Yeah.
And I'm from actually Tamil Nadu, that is South India.
Okay.
If you see in the map, it is in the southern tip, the V shape, like in the map you could see that is the tip of that V. We are there.
Okay.
And so I actually found the Daughters of Mary through a magazine. A magazine used to come to our house every month. It's a monthly magazine. And in the back of the magazine, I was able to see it says, DM calling you. Or, so I just went through the descriptions in that, and it says about evangelization to the poorest of the poor and to help the poorest of the poor, especially the women and children. Yeah. So I was very much excited to that. And so I just made myself committed to it.
So then you pursued it. And so then how long of a process was it for you to discern and be in formation to become a vowed sister?
Yeah, so as I got this vocation, I explained to my parish priest, and my parish priest explained to my parents, but they were not ready to send me.
Yeah.
So I had to finish my, 11th and 12th grade, then 3 years of degree, and then post-graduation. So I had to wait for 7 years for that.
Ooh.
And then entered into the community. The first year was like commency. The second year, it was post-clemency.
Okay.
Third year, we actually have the regency, but they promoted me to novitiate, saying that I already have some regency experience, like being in the mission, even when I was at home.
Ah,
So I was directly entering into the novitiate. So I had 3 years of formation.
Okay.
And then in juniorate, I had 5 years. Then I had my final profession.
And during all that time, because you had already completed your education too before beginning that official process, right, of formation. So I'm sure that helped as well. That you were working with other sisters, you were learning about what the way of life is. What was that time like?
It was really great. Like, being in a convent, I was, even though I was aspiring to become a sister, when I entered, everything was new. Like, the early stages, it was very hard. Even though it was easy to leave my parents and my sisters,
Yeah.
as I entered, everything was something different for me. It was not like my home life.
Yeah.
So the first 1 week, it was hard for me.
Yeah.
But my superiors there really helped me to move with that. They said, you have 4 sisters at your house, so you are really friends, and so it is very hard to leave them. But now you are here. But, that even did not help me sometimes. So I used to go to the chapel, sit in the foot of Jesus, and I speak to him directly as what is what.
Yeah.
Then that gave me courage to move forward.
Wow.
And then I think that that's a call. Because if I had gone back at that first week, thinking that this is very difficult for me, that might have been the end of it.
Yeah.
But God was making it sure that there is a call for me.
Yeah.
So I just stayed with that. And from that day onward to this minute, I'm always grateful to God for this vocation. Just because of this vocation, everything moves forward. I'm so very happy that God gave me this vocation.
I can tell when I talk to you how joyful you are about your vocation. And I know, I'm sure that there have been difficult times at the beginning and throughout. But I also believe you really do have a passion for mission as well, serving the poorest, the most vulnerable people in our society. And that I'm sure has kept you going as well, even in its difficulty, that you want to continue to make a difference, continue to change even individual lives. But of course, you touch so many lives, you and your sisters, with the ministries that you're involved in. I'm sure that has kept you going as well. So I wonder if we could talk more about the Daughters of Mary, and in particular the St. Joseph Province, where you were provincial for some years, and now provincial emeritus. So tell us about these sisters. How many are there, and where do they minister?
In total, we are like 1,124 sisters altogether. We are like 6 provinces for the Daughters of Mary.
Okay.
So I come from one of the province, southern province, that is St. Joseph's Province. We have 211 sisters, and we have 50 convents. And most of the convents are attached to a parish. So all the sisters, whoever they are, even though it's provincial, all have a mission station to go on Sundays. We evangelize with the people. And we have, in our province, we have 7 orphanages, 2 home for the elderly women and men, 3 home for the mentally ill women, and we have 1 leprosy colony, and we have 3 schools for the primary education and for the children who are really in a poor condition.
Yeah.
And we have dispensaries, 5 dispensaries in the villages where we could help the people who do not have a hospital on their own in that particular village.
So you have sisters, I'm sure, then, with a variety of expertises, medical and educational, etc. Is that right?
Yeah, that's true, because we actually started with mission. Our founder father came to an area called Marthandam, in which nothing was there. It was like zero. People were under superstition, people were under caste system, no Christianity, nothing. So when he came there, he saw that everything was in a very critical situation where no one was knowing Christ and all were in a difficult situation. So he started his mission from 1933 to 38. Then he thought only women could help these women and children. He was not able to do that. So he approached the other different communities to send sisters, but no one was ready to do that at that particular moment. So he had the inspiration to start his own. So that's the reason why we started with evangelization. So when we go to the people, we see children who are not given education, children who are being left alone without parents, things like that. So we wanted to start the orphanages. And as they were not having education, the founder father, with the help of the early sisters, started, schooling under the tree. And then there were people, elderly or whoever it is, they did not have a hospital. So they had to start, the people would come to the convent and they will clean the wound, give some small medications, things like that. So we started the dispensary. Likewise, the elderly, we'll go home to the people. Our main apostate is actually visiting homes. So when we visit them, we could see these poor elderly moms and dads in a corner without food, without medication, without being cleaned, without being clothed, nothing. They will be left to die. So we brought them to our convent. So likewise, we started the elderly homes. When we think about the leprosy colony, these leprosy people are just left in the streets without no one to take care of them. They just depend on the begging, and the people don't even give the money in their hands. They throw on them because they have the stigma saying that it is contagious. So again, this mentally ill, I'll be talking to you about maybe later. That also we see these women in the streets, and so we brought them home. So all these missions had to be started. We started with just evangelization, just direct evangelization, but these are the needs of the people who we evangelize. So we had to expand our apostolate to all these different areas, and the sisters were expertised for those missions.
So it was about responding to a need in each of these cases, where once you see that there's something that's a need not being met, a situation, people are suffering, well, we need to figure out a way to do it. Which, when we speak about the homes for the women who are mentally challenged, we will absolutely find examples of that as well. But before we take our break, I just want to take a few moments too to talk about your sisters here in the United States. You've got sisters in 2 different locations here in the U.S.
Locations,
and could you say what they're doing?
Community, we have one community in Yonkers, New York, where we have 4 sisters, and one community in Maryland, Bowie. So we have 3 sisters there. So they are all in healthcare actually, because when you come to United States, we are in the missions with the people, and also, as you know, in India we have different accents and things like that. So we did not put ourselves in education. We just thought we'll just catechize them in the churches, but healthcare is more important, we thought. So sisters are working with the mentally retarded adults. Sister is working in with the autism children. Sisters are working with the elderly. One sister is working in the heart patients department. One sister is in the school nurse. So each one have their own role, but all are in the healthcare. They love it, so we think that's a very important role here, to touch them, to deal with them, to be with them, to listen to them, things like that.
Yeah, and it sounds very much like the kind of work that your sisters are doing in India as well.
One-to-one,
right? So it's a very good fit to be serving these vulnerable communities here in the U.S. as well. So that's another connection. Now, you're not in the Chicago area, but you're here in the United States, and so we were so glad to have your sisters visit us in the past for mission appeals, and hopefully again in the future. But we're going to talk in our next segment about one big project that you've been working on and how we have been helpful here in the Chicago area. So it's time for our first break. I'll be back in just a moment to continue talking with Sister Anila Christy about mission among women. Please stay tuned.
Catholic Charities Golf Classic is teeing up to be a fabulous event this summer. Join us on Monday, July 15 at Knollwood Club in Lake Forest and Shore Acres in Lake Bluff, two premier courses in Chicago. Proceeds from this outing will support Catholic Charities programs and services in Cook and Lake counties. Last year, we served more than 400,000 people, improving lives and nourishing spirits through their difficult times. Gather your foursome or just join us for the spectacular dinner following the tournament. Catholic Charities Golf Classic is always a highlight of summer in Chicago. Come and experience this signature event for yourself. To learn more and register for the Catholic Charities Golf Classic on July 15, call 312-948-6864. That's 312-948-6864. Or visit CatholicCharities.net.
I can't imagine myself going into any other school.
Our school fosters growth by being a backbone to our family.
My kids are incredibly well-rounded. I see a lot of kindness in them on a daily basis.
One of the things I think Catholic schools do well is personalize the learning experience. You can hear joy in the classrooms.
I feel that I'm happy that I am in this kind of school.
Our school communities provide students with academic excellence and character education in a supportive and stable learning environment. Come see for yourself. Visit archchicago.org/findaschool.
Catholic Charities Lost Program was created more than 40 years ago to help survivors of suicide wherever they are in the grieving process. This nationally recognized program continues to offer a safe, non-judgmental environment where survivors of suicide can find community, direction, and resources for healing after suffering the devastating loss of a loved one. Online and in-person services are available for individuals, couples, children, and families of all faith traditions. To learn more, call 312-655-7283 or email loss@catholiccharities.net. Don't suffer alone. We are here to offer loving outreach to survivors of suicide. Contact Catholic Charities today.
Welcome back to Mission Matters Live. I am Megan Mio, Director of the Global Mission Office, and I'm here with Sister Anila Christy, who is a daughter of Mary from Tamil Nadu, India. She and her sisters seek to be pure and poor, to contemplate, witness, and proclaim the Word incarnate for the kingdom of God. That is their charism as a community. They are true missionaries working in southern India and ministering in pastoral work, orphanages, hospitals, vocational training with women, ministry with the differently abled and mentally ill, as well as those with leprosy. And in our last segment, Sister Anila was giving us kind of an overview of her own journey to become a daughter of Mary, as well as an overview of this congregation, of the work of these sisters in southern India, as well as here in the United States, in Yonkers, New York, and Bowie, Maryland. So we're very glad to have had that introduction. So I know that, Sister Anila, one of the major priorities for your work is care for those who are mentally ill, mentally challenged, and abandoned women in particular. So I wonder if we could just learn a little bit more about this situation in Tamil Nadu for women with these kinds of challenges, and then how your congregation did make the decision to take this on as a major mission, ministry of your congregation.
Actually, it all started if I talk to you in person, when I was in my third grade, when I go to school, I used to walk to the school. As I used to walk, I used to see these poor women in the midst of garbages. eating the leftover from the restaurants of the day before.
Yeah.
And it was really moving to me. And I used to cry when I see them because they don't clean themselves. They are completely dirty and everything. Some of them are naked too. So I used to stand there for a while and I will give my lunch box to them and I just go to my school.
Yeah.
I don't even worry about whether I have lunch or not. But this stays in me. After becoming a sister, once I was a member of the chapter, I just opened it out in the chapter hall. That was the inspiration from God, actually. I just stood up and said, why don't we open this? Because even when I was a sister, I used to see these women in the streets completely abandoned. They are depending on the garbages. They are abused in the street. I even see them walking in the street, being pregnant and everything. I knew that they were abused in the streets. And everything was, the policeman will chase them from one street to another, things like that. So I opened it out in the chapter, and the chapter members were listening to it. And we had different opinions about it because we were not professional for that to take care of these women in the shelter. So we were not having any shelter, actually. Nothing was there. But still, as I opened this out, they were putting the vote. We were putting the vote, and it passed. God's grace passed.
Yes.
And so everything was started. So I was visiting United States at that time because I was studying in Rome. So I explained that to Cardinal O'Connor, who I was working for at New York Archdiocese in his office as one of the secretaries.
Right, okay.
And so that happened. So I explained to him about this. The chapter has accepted it, but we do not have any fund for that.
Right.
So he directed me to the mission appeal. He said, normally priests do that. Sisters don't do that. Only men do that, especially because in the homily time only they speak about it. But I will introduce you to the mission office. And so it started. So we went there. He introduced me to Monsignor Berardi at that time. So I spoke to him and he made me speak. And so we started making fun. From 1998 to 2008, I raised fund for that. We saved, and we started the small building in our own of the locations. We did not have to buy a land. We converted a coconut tree farm to a home because we were not able to buy a land for that. So we had to convert that land, and so the first house started.
Wow, I mean, that just goes to show the mission appeals can help build up something that didn't exist before. I mean, I hope our communities are listening. Yeah, that's amazing. So that's how you got started, and it was mission appeals here in the United States.
Yeah, well, this was the only source of fund which we were able to depend on because we are missionaries. We don't have any source of income as such.
Right, and this is a brand new ministry. Yeah, the sisters had voted on, but
old age home free of cost, everything. So we had to depend on the mission appeal.
Okay. Yeah. So you were able to build something on land that you already had, or to adapt, right? And that's how it started. So what kind of services have been offered then at this house?
Could you please repeat that? I couldn't get it.
What are the services? You said that this is a home, so there's
this is because the first home actually we named it Emmaus. Emmaus, you say. So why we said that is, I was praying to find a name for it, and I came to mind. Jesus was walking with the hopeless people. They were not having hope when they were, going to Emmaus. So these women in the street are also not having any hope of future.
Yeah.
So sisters have to walk with them and bring them home. We have to break bread with them, and they will find Jesus in their life. That was the motivation behind it. They have to find Jesus in their life as they come home. So as they were home, whenever they come home, they will be like shabby like because their hair and all everything will be thick like. So we'll have to shave their hair. We have to clean the skin and all will be having thick dark layers. So we'll have to put them in warm water bath, which they will be very happy to have, because they did not have any bath for many number of days, months, and years together. So we just start with them. Then we take them to the hospital to know about their health issues, and then they will we'll medicate them, and they are with us throughout their life.
Right.
We try to reunite them with their families. Sometimes they accept, sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
Because they don't accept, because they say, once they are lost forever. Because it's like a prestige problem for them to bring a mentally ill women back home, so they just say no.
Right. Yeah.
And some stories we have that they are reunited, but we send medication for them every month.
Sure.
Because without medication, they'll be back again in the street.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I hope our listeners are understanding. These are women who have. That's why we use the language of abandonment, because these are women. Their families either can't care or don't wish to care for them. They are literally on the street, vulnerable. Women in particular, usually are more vulnerable anyway. And then these are women with either mental illness or disabilities, are simply, and have experienced trauma because of it. Hungry, sick. So your sisters are just providing a safe place. I'm sure, that the medicine is a piece of it, but a safe place is probably the most important thing, that these women know that they're going to be cared for, that they're not in danger, so long as they live with your sisters. So, and that the Emmaus, that makes perfect sense, that name for the first home. But now you have 3 homes. What are the other 2 names?
The second one is St. Francis Assisi home, Assisi.
Okay.
Assisi, because he was also, for the poor people, especially for the, poor people who are abandoned in the street.
Yes.
So we named Assisi. And the third one is St. Dymphna. St. Dymphna, because she is the patron of the mental illness. So we named that St. Dymphna because the healing also has to happen. Because once you see these women in the street, they scream a lot in the street corners, and people just think they are screaming just because of mental illness. So they just don't even listen to them, look at them.
Yeah.
But when I talk to them in person, they are not screaming because of mental illness. They cry because they are lonely, they are rejected, because they are being thrown out by their own families. So they scream a lot, they are hungry, thirsty, and the painful memories. So they need some healing. So we have counseling sessions for them. We sit and talk to them person to person. For me, sometimes a woman will be there, she'll be crying, and I'll be sitting with her to ask what is going on. She'll not answer. Sometimes only after an hour, she'll say something. One day, one lady was saying, "Why are you crying?" She said, "He stabbed at my stomach and my child got aborted," and she's again crying. And so then we came to know that she was pregnant. His brother abused her by beating and everything because she was pregnant without anyone's knowledge, something like that.
Married,
So that pain in her, that made her mentally ill. So she's in the street now, and so she's crying and crying and crying. People do not know because they just think, oh, this is, but that is really a person who needs some healing. And the spiritual touch of sisters really help her to move forward.
Wow.
And these women actually, this lady who I talked to, she's Sophie, she's now beautiful. She's the receptionist of this Emmaus home now.
Wow.
Very happy.
What a turnaround.
Very happy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the system just fails these women over and over again, that they get to the point, like you described them, where they're literally dirty, they don't have clothing, and some pregnant because they've been abused, in their vulnerable state.
And when they come in, you must see the whole body is tortured from the street, whole body. So we have to clean up and heal that wounds. So when they are in the street with these wounds, as they are not in a hygienic situation, they'll be surrounded by flies and everything.
Yeah.
And so, even if they go to the public tap to drink some water, people chase them off. Don't come near us, things like that. Right. And they will sometimes drink dump water in the street, rainwater and things like that. They will take the disposable bottles, the recycling bottles which they throw people. So they take that bottle and take this dump water and they drink that. I have seen that,
Oh my God.
So it is really hard for them to live in the street. So I really thank God for helping us to bring these women Because when we bring them home, they are in a difficult situation, but when they are home, they find new life. They're happy.
Absolutely.
You must see how they dance, how they, things like sing and everything, and mutual help.
Yeah. So I wanted to mention too, before we take our next break, that this third home, St. Dymphna Home, we're very happy to say that our office, the Chicago Society for the Propagation of the Faith, was able to in part help the funding of the construction of this most recent home, which, again, provides, the medical and health care and basic kind of hygiene, as well as, of course, meals and the additional care. You mentioned the psychological care as well. So the thing that really struck me about this third home when we were reviewing your request for this support, this funding for the construction, was that the sisters were the home already existed. You just didn't have a building yet, which was, shocking to me. It took me a minute to really process, wait a minute, the home already exists, it's just that you don't have the structure. Because the need was so great, your sisters just started working with whatever you had, and you were able to construct kind of a temporary building for meals.
It was like a fuel home.
Yeah.
We keep the wood for the fuel in a small room. Okay. So we converted that. We took off all the wood outside and made them be there.
Yeah. And that's
how it started.
Right. You work with what you have, because it was better than these women not having anything.
Being in the street,
And now, thank God, you will be working with a good, solid construction going forward. But okay, it's time for our next break. We're going to continue talking about this ministry in our next segment.
I like to say about what your help too in the next section.
Oh, we'll talk more about it then. Okay. Very good. It's time for another break. We'll be back in just a moment to continue talking about mission among women, especially those most vulnerable. Please come right back.
Catholic Charities Golf Classic is teeing up to be a fabulous event this summer. Join us on Monday, July 15 at Knollwood Club in Lake Forest and Shore Acres in Lake Bluff, two premier courses in Chicago. Proceeds from this outing will support Catholic Charities programs and services in Cook and Lake counties. Last year, we served more than 400,000 people, improving lives and nourishing spirits through their difficult times. Gather your foursome, or just join us for the spectacular dinner following the tournament. Catholic Charities Golf Classic is always a highlight of summer in Chicago. Come and experience this signature event for yourself. To learn more and register for the Catholic Charities Golf Classic on July 15, call 312-948-6864. That's 312-948-6864. Or visit CatholicCharities.net.
I am a seminarian.
The church needs compassionate and well-trained priests to help guide each of us through life.
What inspires me, what draws me always to the priesthood is continue to see priests be a beacon of hope for other people.
You can play a part in the education of these young men as they prepare for a life of service to others.
I want to be that beacon of hope too, and it sets my heart on fire.
To support our seminarians, make your gift at archchicago.org/seminarian fund or call 312-534-7959.
The cemetery ministry is a core ministry of our Catholic faith tied to the corporal works of mercy. It's comforting to know that our Catholic cemeteries are caring for the remains of our loved ones awaiting the resurrection. There are 44 Archdiocese of Chicago Catholic cemeteries willing to help you in your time of loss. Call 708-449-6100 or visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org. Catholic Cemeteries, serving the Catholic community since 1837.
You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Thanks for letting us be part of your morning. Now again, Catholic Chicago.
Welcome back to Mission Matters Live. I am Megan Mio, Director of the Global Mission Office, and you're listening to WNDZ 750 AM. I'm here with Sister Anila Christy, a daughter of Mary and the former Provincial from Tamil Nadu, India. She and her sisters have been operating 3 safe homes and facilities for mentally challenged and abandoned women since 2008. And before our break, we were talking about those 3 homes and understanding the situation of women in that area of India who really are on the street. Women with these kinds of challenges have been abandoned really by their families and their communities. And we were saying that there's the 3rd home, the St. Dimphna home, is the newest of the 3, and our office here in Chicago was able to help with funding for this home. So, Sister Anila, there was something you wanted to say more about that?
Yes, Megan, that will be great. Because as I said to you before, we just had a small room. There was no proper roof. It was leaking. It was like a room to keep the wood. Yeah. But as I spoke to you, and with your great help, we were able to start the construction bit by bit. Yes. And now we are very happy to say to you that we have 2 big dormitories for them now. We have toilet facilities for them to help them, use the toilets and to take shower in a proper way. Yep. Now the construction is under process where we are now putting the kitchen and the dining area. Excellent. Because now, we can't bring the food in the dome, so we are keeping them out like eating and things like that. Now, so the construction is really being very good shape. And I can't thank you enough, the Archdiocese of Chicago, and especially you, dear Megan, the Director of the Propagation of Faith Office, for your time to listen to what I was explaining to you, and for sharing that with the board members and for making it possible. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks a million for that.
Well,
Without which we may not be able to do that.
I think that what we were able to do was really get you over the hurdle, because it was a big project that would take some major support, major funding. So we were very glad to get you kind of the next stage so that you could start to put this
exceptional help. Yeah. Extraordinary, which God brought it.
I will say that I was moved whenever I heard you speak about this work, particularly that these are women, and some of them children. As you mentioned, some women do come to you pregnant. And there are children as well that will live in these homes for that reason, that are just the most vulnerable. And I know that those who helped to make this decision, our board, Cardinal Supich himself, were moved as well to hear of this work that your sisters are doing. And you started to say a little bit about the services that are offered. First question is, how many women then approximately are living in these 3 homes? Can you say?
Yeah, the first home, Emmaus, has 110 women.
Okay.
The second house, Assisi, has 80 women. Yeah. And the third, St. Dimphna, has 63 women.
Wow. I mean, that's
so it is amazing. Like about 253 women altogether. And many more are, in the homes, we are helping them with their medicine and things like that.
Okay, yeah. So there's some women.
They're reunited, we help them like that.
Yeah, I think ideally you want them to be reconnected to their families if it's possible.
Yeah.
Right? And so then can you say something about the sisters and other professionals who are working at these homes? Tell us about that.
Yeah, the first home has 5 sisters. The second home has 4 sisters, and the third house also has 4 sisters. The sisters' major duty is to connect with the women, whatever help we have to do touching them, we sisters do. The sisters take the role of a director. The sisters one sister will take the role of the director, one sister take the role of the nurse, one sister take care of the daycare, like health care, like the caregiver. The 4th sister will used to be like the spiritual guide, and who gives the therapy. Okay. But even though each one has their own role, all the 4 or 5 sisters will have to do everything together.
Yeah.
We have lay associates with us who help us, especially in cooking, cleaning, gardening, tailoring work, because these women we have to stitch gowns for them. So we have a tailor for them, and especially a social worker. And the social worker also mostly will be a sister, even though she may not be living there. She'll come very often because she moves from 3 homes, because she links the 3 homes.
Yeah.
So these sisters are getting enough strength every morning. By 4 o'clock, the sisters wake up and say the prayers and everything. By 6 o'clock, they will be with the people, starting to clean them up, wake them up, clean them up, and bringing them ready by 7 o'clock for the Mass. So all will be in the chapel for the Mass. Even though they are Hindus, Muslims, any religion, all will be for the Mass. It's not a compulsory thing. You know, once we ask them, they just be there. And it's like it's soothing them, because the priests come from outside. They love to see the priest. And the priests are very, very, very open to these women. So no day go without a Mass in that particular 3 convents. Because the priests are very, even though Sundays, they even sometimes come early morning, 5 o'clock to offer Mass. Because the sisters may not be able to go out for the Mass. Because they have to be with the people.
Very busy.
So they can't go out. So the priests come here to offer Mass for them.
Yeah, I was wondering too if you could tell us a few stories of women who have been transformed by their time living in these homes.
Yeah.
Give us an idea of what that looks like.
Yeah, so I'll just give you 1 or 2 incidents. Like one day I was coming back from mission. It was like night, 11 o'clock, something like that. So it was very dark. I was able to see a woman in a front of closed gate. And so we went there. She started screaming because these women are always scared to meet new people. But as we went there, she squeezed the hands, spit on me and everything. But I hugged her. And immediately she looked at my eyes and she smiled. And so I just thought, love is the only language which I could speak with these poor women. So we brought her home. We cleaned her, fed her. And the next day, we took her to the hospital to know about her whereabouts, about her health. And she was pregnant. Actually, she was made pregnant in the street. So we gave good care, and she gave birth to a beautiful girl child. We named the child Shanti, and we were able to baptize her. Now, it's 5 years now. The child is going to school, very happy. And the mom is with us, very happy. She's one of the major cook in that house.
Oh my goodness.
And another day, we were just walking in the street. Some 2 small girls came running to me asking for alms. And as they are too young to get alms, I stopped and I asked her, where is your mom? And they pointed out a young lady in a corner saying that they are moms. So I went to them with the children, and we were able to know the mom was mentally ill. And because she was mentally ill, she was thrown out with the 2 girls. They say, we can't take care of the girls and you. So these girls are getting alms to feed the mom.
Yeah, right. Oh my
so
gosh.
I asked the children, what is your name? And the children were not able to answer me. So the bigger one, the elder one, was smiling. So I said, Smiley. And the small one was so cute and loving. So I called her Lovely. And this Lovely is holding my habit and turning to her sister and saying, now we have a mom. And so her eyes was filled with tears. She said, Namakku ipo amma kadachachi. So she was very, crying and at the same time happy. So we brought her home, both of them home and the mom. And we, took all the basic things like that. And the children are being educated in very good English medium school, because when these children were at home, they were going to the English medium school. Because as you know, the local language school and English medium school is different in India. So once it is English medium school, they are internationally equipped. So we are sending these 2 kids in an English medium school, and the mom is with us happily living. At times they will be able to see them both, because we keep the children in the children's home and keep the mother in the shelter. So very often we bring the children to the home to see often. And so they are happily living. And many women in the home are reunited to their family. So they are going back to that same work with proper medication.
Right. Yeah.
2 of them got married. Even though that mentally ill people may not be sometimes allowed even, to get married and things like that.
Yep.
But these were very much who were in the street. They are now cured and they are back to the normal, and 2 of them got married and they are even having children.
Wow. That is amazing.
Being abundant and going to this level, we feel really happy about it.
Yeah, that's a total transformation. And it goes to show, as I said, that the society has failed them, in different ways, and that there is a child of God there, but that people don't necessarily see them that way because of whatever challenges they may be facing in life, and that you're able to kind of uncover that through, like you said, speaking the language of love to a woman who has been so reviled. She just defends herself first before anything, and then she realizes this is somebody who actually cares about me, who is approaching me, and then she smiles. She knows that you do love her. This is amazing. I'm sure you have
and also, when you see
a
woman in the street, we don't just pass by now. We just stop and bring them, because we have the hope that the mission office will help us in their daily needs.
Yeah.
So we need not just think, how can we take care of them? How I'm going to provide them? Because these women also come with other health issues, like we need scanning, we need MRI, we need surgery, we need things like that. Mm-hmm. So still, even not only the mental health problems, even though the other problems also we are facing, which is being helped by the mission office.
Yeah, absolutely. You know that you've got support around the world who are going to keep you
very big help we get
meet those needs
to help these poor women.
Absolutely.
Really.
Okay, well, we're going to
without which we may not be able to continue, by all means.
Of course. We're going to take one more break, and then we're going to have a few moments to kind of reflect on all of this and hear what Sister Anila, your wonderful message when you do make these mission appeals. We'll hear a little bit more from you, reflecting on our connection here in the U.S. and how all of this is about really coming to know Jesus more deeply. So we'll be back in just a moment. Stay tuned, and we'll hear some more from Sister Anila Christy. Stay tuned.
We are hiring. Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of Chicago is looking for mission-driven individuals who want to help make a positive difference in the lives of people in need throughout Cook and Lake counties. Be part of a diverse, talented team of professionals in the largest human services organization in the Midwest. We are dedicated to helping people chart a more stable, happier future for themselves, and we accompany anyone in need, regardless of faith, gender, race, or ethnicity. Competitive salaries and generous benefits add to the satisfaction you'll have every day knowing that you're helping us amplify our impact in Chicago. To see our list of employment opportunities, visit CatholicCharities.net.
I feel special. I feel great. I got good grades.
We've seen a huge surge in our kids now meeting or exceeding grade level. Come check us out. You may have never thought we were an option before.
Our school communities provide students with academic excellence and character education in a supportive and stable learning environment. Come see for yourself. Visit archchicago.org/findaschool.
Catholic Charities' Family Self-Sufficiency Program has assisted thousands of single parents who are working to become more self-sufficient through education and employment opportunities. Our experienced case managers accompany participants for up to 5 years on their journey to identify, address, and break down barriers to improving their quality of life and achieving meaningful goals for themselves and for their families. Professional, compassionate assistance is offered in a safe and trusting environment as participants develop the skills needed to become financially stable and able to support themselves. Every achievement starts with a decision to try. To learn more about Catholic Charities' Family Self-Sufficiency Program, call 847-782-4233 or visit CatholicCharities.net.
Welcome back to Mission Matters Live. I am Megan Mio, Director of the Global Mission Office, and I'm here with Sister Anila Christy, former Provincial of the Daughters of Mary in the St. Joseph Province of Tamil Nadu, India. She's come to know our Archdiocese here in Chicago through mission appeals, and most recently our office helped to fund the construction of the St. Dymphna Safe Home for women who have mental illness or mental challenges. So in our last segment, we've been talking about this St. Dymphna home and this ministry with women who are the most vulnerable on the street in Tamil Nadu area. And I know earlier in our show, we talked about the variety of other ministries that the sisters participate in, working with children, working with those with leprosy, other healthcare issues, and as well as pastoral ministries as well, and evangelization. So considering the wide range of these ministries and the complexity of all these ills in society that your sisters are responding to, Sister Anila, I wonder if you could reflect for a moment on how all of this work is really mission. How is it really a work of evangelization as well? Please, would you share your thoughts?
Yeah, as we have, as I mentioned to you before, we have orphanages, home for the aged, home for the leprosy-infected men and women, home for the mentally ill, primary schools, and for the dispensaries.
Yeah.
Whoever we meet in our life, as we are missionaries, we just try to bring Jesus to their life.
Yeah.
Especially being with the habit, and with the cross hung in our neck. The children who meet us immediately touch the cross and kiss them, and we make them kiss them. That is immediate reaction whoever see us. And especially when we are walking around in the street, people, especially in place like India, as you might have known, a lot of persecution, and people, have some distance with the Christianity and things like that sometimes. But to the sisters, especially in the southern part of India, they have very good love for us. Especially if you have checked the schools or any mission apostolate like serving the poor, we don't always have any discrimination like anything. Whoever it is, it's schools, all the Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, or Christians, whoever, they all come together. So in the schools, or even if you take the mentally ill home, we have prayers in the morning. We help them to know about Christ through stories, biblical stories. We explain to them. We make them sing, we make them dance, and we have the prayer meetings in which they could open their mouth and say what are their needs. Especially the mentally ill women, when they pray, they even pray saying their home needs, like husband or father, mother, children. They name them and pray. So they have some feeling of Christ in their life.
Yeah.
So this brings them to Christ. If you take the leprosy home, we have 42 leprosy-infected men and women in our care. In that colony itself, we have a chapel. And we have a grotto, like Lord Mother Mary grotto. So these people, to find some ease, they just go and sit in the chapel. They go sit in front of the grotto. And whenever they have problem, they just run to us saying their problem, that they will be crying like. So once they are with them, always we just, start with the prayer and then move on with giving them the hope that God will help you in your difficult situation.
Yeah.
So this is like moving around with Christ. We are the bearers of Christ, and this Christ image actually being shown to the people around us. being a witness.
You really...
So it's like always bringing them hope, always bringing them Christ in their life.
Right.
So as I mentioned to you before, even when I was discerning my vocation, I was just having a hard time in my life too as a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
But only when I found Jesus in my life, everything changed. So I'd say, you know, people are not happy, but when they find Jesus, they could also find happiness in their life. As I said, Emmaus, you know, they were hopeless, feeling bad about it. When they find Jesus in their life, that's what, not the food we give, not the water we give, not the shelter we give, but because, you know, even there they are in the safe situation, they have tears.
Yeah.
They have tears always. So because the past memories make them feel bad about it. But when we give them Christ, that is their light. That is their life. That brings everything different. That makes everything different.
So you're really working to introduce people, whatever the situation, to Christ in their lives. As you said, that you've received Christ, you want to share that same joy, that same hope, opportunity for healing through Christ to people with all of these different situations and realities. And we only have just a minute or two left, so we want to know how people can get involved or learn more. You have a website, correct?
Yeah, we have a website named Daughters of Mary SJ, because Daughters of Mary is our community, and SJ is St. Joseph's Province.org.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's daughtersofmarysj.org. If you want to learn a little more, there's also a way for you to donate there if you want to support the work of these sisters. With just a minute to go, Sister Anila, what other things would you ask our audience to do if they want to, you know, support this kind of mission?
Yeah, I would like to ask the audience, thank you for listening to us, first of all, and thank you for being a great help throughout the world through your love and prayers. And if you could pray for our mission, especially for more vocations, so that this mission among the poorest of the poor could be continued in the future, because there are many more in the streets, many more being abandoned, many more need our help. So if you could pray for more vocations, that will be helpful. And in order to take care of one woman per month, it is like $25. So if you could support us in that way, that will be great. The website which I have given you, daughtersofmarysj.org, will be available only after 2 days, because as Ms. Megan was explaining to me about this, I called my Provincial and said, could you please open our website, so that we do not have a website with donor column and everything. So they are in the process of doing that.
Okay.
So it will be very grateful if you could support us, because day-to-day life, every month we have to write check for these 3 homes. Without which they cannot move forward. So all the help which should come from you, it will be great. And I assure our humble prayers for each and every one of you.
And we know
all the listeners will be remembering, and all the dioceses, all the parishes, however we meet people, all are in our prayers.
Thank you, Sister Anila. We know that your prayers work too, Sister Anila. You're very close to God.
And very special mention about Miss Megan Mio. You are a real great support to us. And just to listen us and to understand us with a loving heart, that makes big difference.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for your great help.
It is a shared mission. Thank you very much, Sister Anila. May God bless you and your sisters in your continued mission. And thank you to our listeners for listening. Remember, always be on mission.